Hello everyone. In this episode, we are going to implement put API call using ExpressJS. So let's begin. For implementing the put API using Express, we have already set in place a project with NodeMon and ExpressJS configured, the details of which are provided in the description. This was covered in another episode. Please have a look at it as to how this can be achieved. The first step for us to be able to implement this API is to have a source of data. For the purpose of simplicity, we will be using a JSON file as a source of data and not a database. This JSON file will contain a listing of products against which the put API call will be implemented. Let's go ahead and create the JSON file which contains the product listing. Let's call the folder as data, within which we'll create a file called products.json. We already have created some records and we will just paste it within products.json. Next step will be to read this product details and make it available to the Express application. For that, we'll be using the file system module. Next, we'll read the contents of this JSON file using the read file sync function. We'll use the directory name global to refer to the current project directory and define a path for the file relative to this directory. Next step will be to parse this JSON file, the JSON content, and make it available as a JavaScript object. Next, we will configure the Express application to be able to handle JSON requests and responses. For that, we'll set up the Express middleware. Next, we will define a get API call. The reason why we are implementing the get API call is for us to be able to verify whether the put API call, once it has been implemented, is actually updating the data as expected or not. Once a put call is made, we will then make a call to the get API to verify whether the data has actually been updated by the put call or not. Let's go ahead and implement the get call. With this in place, let's verify whether it is working as expected or not by starting the server and calling this API using Postman. As we see here, we can see a listing of 4 products with IDs 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the get API call is working as expected. Now let's implement the put API call. Product that needs to be updated, the ID of that particular product will be provided as a path param while making the put API call. We'll then implement the request handler. The first step will be to read the request body, which will contain the updated product details. We will also define a Boolean flag indicating whether a product for the given product ID was found within our products.json data source or not. Next, we will loop through all the products and try to find a match for the given ID. We'll then check if the current product's ID matches with the ID that has been passed as a path parameter. If a match is found, the first step will be to update the ID, or to actually define the ID as the ID of the product that has been matched, which will effectively will be the same as the product ID that has been passed as a path parameter. Next, we will update the Boolean flag to true, and since a match has been found, we will then update the product in the array. We'll replace it effectively with the updated product that was passed in the request body, and we'll break out of this loop. Once we are out, we will just check the Boolean flag to see if a match was found or not, and handle the response accordingly. If a match was found, we will return the updated product. If a match was not found, and we'll return a response. We'll return a 404 not found status, and we will return an empty body, empty JSON body as part of the response. Now let's verify whether the put call is working as expected. Before we do that, let's again verify the get call, and it is still behaving correctly. Next, we will implement the put call, where we'll pass in the product details as a JSON body. Let's try to update the product having ID as 1. We'll just copy the body from the existing product, and we'll make some changes to here, to this product. Now let's check if it works as we expect it to. As we see that we have got 200 status response with the body indicating or showing the updated product details. To recheck whether it is all correct, we will again make a get API call, and as we see now that for the product having ID 1, we are getting the updated details. We will also verify with what will be the behavior if we pass a product ID which doesn't exist. If you make this API call, as you see, the status that is returned is 404 not found, and we get an empty body. We hope you liked this episode, and if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And do let us know if you would like to see any specific topics that we can provide an episode for. Thank you.
At Spinsage, we provide digital consultancy services including web and mobile app development. For inquiries, please visit spinsage.com.